Hello everyone and welcome back. This is the second video on how to complete your All About Me poster. I've already downloaded and opened the All About Me template. I'm going to use this to demonstrate how to complete the next part of your assignment. So this is going to presume that you've already changed all of the photos and you have those changed out and ready to go. If you need help with that, please review the initial video or ask me for help in class. So one of the things I did not tell you in the first video was how to change the word art and make it so that it's your name. So we're going to go over that today. If you need a reminder on how to open files and download them from eBackpack, then please go back to the first video and watch that portion of the video. Alright, so here's our template. We're going to pretend that all 12 of these pictures are correct and then work with them from here. So the first thing I want to show you is this word art, how to change so it doesn't say all about Chris Smith, but in fact says your name. So I've got the view here in whole page so you can see the whole thing. I'm going to click on this word art and then go view selected object because I want to work just on that right now, and it's going to zoom in so I can see that a lot better. Okay, so we need to change this. Ideally you'd be able to double click or triple click in here and get your name and edit it right there. Unfortunately you can't do that, so we have to do it a different way. But if I click on it once, I don't get the options I need. The word art toolbar ribbon does light up, but it doesn't become available. So if I double click kind of quickly, then I get the actual word art tools format, or you can just click on it once and then click on the format option of the word art tools. So there you go. So the first thing we need to do is change it so it says our name, or your name in this case. So I click on this, make sure I'm in the word art tools format toolbar or ribbon. Go all the way over here to the left where it says edit text, click there, and it's going to bring up then the actual place where we can edit it. So instead of Chris Smith, I'm going to type Mr. Chase. You obviously would type your name, first and last name please, for the project. You can change the font if you'd like and the size of the font, although I would let word art handle the size for you because it'll adjust it so that it fits properly. You can make it bold or italics, which is slanted. I'm just going to leave all that for now. Keep it simple. Okay, so there's that. All about Mr. Chase. You can now, with this highlighted, with the word art highlighted, you can, oops, I unhighlighted it. Let's get back here. There we go. Okay, and the format bar selected, you can change the actual color of the text in the word art. You can kind of have some fun with that. Okay, you can get even crazier in here if you go to some of these other tool color options. Kind of fun. So well, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but I want to point that out to you. You notice the outline did not change because that was the fill shape. So that's the inside color. You can change the outside color separately. You can make that a different blue. Okay, so you can have fun with that if you'd like. Now you'll notice one of the things I did that I sort of regret in this template was I chose the word art that option that was here where it says fill blue reflection curved, right? Okay, so I'm going to click off that so it goes back to what I have. You can, if you want to, just pick something that's got all the formatting done for you. I'm over here in this portion of the ribbon. You can scroll through and you can kind of pick different options and see if something really exciting that you like. I would encourage you to pick something where the actual color inside the letters. Okay, you can change the color as I showed you before, but pick something that's bright or dark. Here's curving down. So if you pick something that you like, I would not pick something like this, right, where it says all about Mr. Chase. Really hard to, whoops, where did it go? There. Really hard to read if you do like the curvy crazy thing like that, and even that one's getting a little hard to read. That one's not too bad. The main point here is you're printing a poster. We're going to print it out. We want it to look good when we actually print it, and if you get a little too crazy, then it's not going to look good, right? It's not going to print out very nicely. Like, I kind of like the shape of this one, but the colors are a little light, so I could choose this and then change the fill color and make it darker, something that I actually like. Okay, so you can experiment with those. The one thing I would like you to make sure you turn off if you do leave this one, which is the original one we started with, excuse me, with the word art text box highlighted, you can go in here into shape effects, and we want to turn off reflection. So pick reflection and just turn off, say no reflection, and hopefully get rid of the reflection. I still see it there. Let's see here. No reflection. So you may need to go ahead and choose a different one, and then you can change the shape of the way the letters are bending, and you can see here that just makes them straight. You can curve down, so on and so forth. Okay, and you can kind of get fun with that. I wouldn't go too crazy. Again, we want to be legible, want it to be able to be read and look nice when we print it out. So keep it pretty straight. Avoid the reflection. It doesn't work well because we have pictures cutting it off, and it just the effect is really lost, and it looks like we've made a mistake. Okay, so that's the word art. Fixed our name, and you can experiment with it a little bit if you want. I wouldn't spend hours on this or too many minutes. Just pick something and go. All right, so now we want to talk about correcting the templates once the pictures are all changed. And again, we're going to pretend that all these pictures are correct, even though they're obviously not. That's just the template that I gave you. So the key here is if you go to View, and you can go whole page. We'll kind of shrink it down so you can see everything. You'll notice, and maybe if I go page width, it's a little better. You can see here how our margin lines, that's the light blue lines, we've got things inside those and outside those, and it's kind of all jaggy looking, and it doesn't look good. So the first thing I'm going to do is move, come back here, there we go. Okay, I want to move my name here up, and you'll notice when the edge of the box gets to the top margin, it's going to light up dark blue. Do you see that? And the other thing is we can center this, make sure it's nice and center. There, the center line on your screen will light up, and so now I know this is centered and it's just at the right point on the margin. So whatever you do there, make sure you get everything lined up sideways and top to bottom so that my name's fixed. Now I want to fix the pictures. And see how this picture right here and caption are outside the margin. I'm going to bring the whole thing in, and you can, again, you'll see the left margin light up when I'm touching it, which is where I want to be. And then if I hold down the Shift key on my keyboard and grab the corner, I can shrink down the picture just a little bit, the whole thing. So it doesn't get distorted, and it maintains the proper aspect ratio on that picture. All right, so now I've got it inside the left margin, and that really then, if I scroll down just a little bit, you can see now my favorite movie is way inside, right? So I want to move that, click it, and drag it over till, again, that left margin lights up. I'm just kind of moving down. Now, the other thing you want to pay attention to, even as you're doing this, and again, maybe if we go back to whole page on View, so we go View and then whole page, you can begin to see here that the spacing between the top picture, my family here, and the one below it, after Indiana Jones, is not good. So we'll continue to fix these things. Let me go back to page width, because right now we're working on this left margin. And I would encourage you to focus, work on one margin at a time, and then go back and fix the spacing. Okay, so we're going to fix Catcher in the Rye. I'm going to drag it over to the margin, and it should light up. Oops, there. Now this picture has a little bit of an issue, and I'll show you what the issue is here. Let me move up, kind of fix. I'm fixing the top and bottom spacing, at least looking at it. If I double click on this picture, you can see that I have some options now under Picture Tools and Formatting, and this is the framing. You'll notice it's changing as I'm going over this. You can see there's a really thick black border, which doesn't work very well because it sticks outside the margin on the page. So I would avoid stuff like that and stick with more subtle things, more of the subtle options, so that the picture stays the right size and kind of inside where the caption is. You don't want the borders of the picture or even the margin of it going way past the caption below it, because then it's all distorted. It doesn't and will not look good when we print it out. Okay, so you can kind of experiment with some different options. I would encourage you to pick a style. If you're going to do this at all, pick one and stick with it for all of them, so you're not just changing for no reason. I happen to like this one right here, which is the drop shadow rectangle. It gives it a kind of a 3D effect on the paper. That looks good to me. Again, the more subtle the effect is, probably the better it is for print, because we're going to print these out. Okay, so my favorite book, it's lined up as best we can on the left margin. I go down here. This one's a little bit outside, you can see the left margin, so I'm going to hold down the Shift key again, click the top corner there, and bring the whole thing in. Now I'm lining it up with the caption, which is where the black line ends. You'll see now when I click out here that this black line is ending at the margin. Now we're at the bottom, so we've also got to adjust so that the bottom edge of the pictures all line up along this bottom, and you can see right now they're kind of reverse stair-stepping up, and we don't want that. So I'm going to have to shrink this picture quite a bit now, again holding down the shift key so it doesn't distort, and I grab the corner, and then whenever I get shrunk down, now I'm going to kind of scoot it down. You'll see again the bottom margin will line up, and now I know it's lined up exactly with that bottom margin, looking much better. Same thing here. Click this picture. As soon as I hit that bottom margin, it's going to line up nice and dark. And over here too. Now this one I'm going to line up on the right side and the bottom. Okay, so already you can see it's looking much better in terms of the margin on the bottom and the left. Let's go back out to view here on our ribbon. Go whole page, and you'll see now if you look along the left edge of the poster that everything's more or less lined up and the bottom is lined up. Well, we're creating some internal spacing issues which we'll deal with in a minute. I'm going to finish adjusting the margins on the right side, which by now you should be able to figure out how to do. So I'm going to pause the video while I do that and then come back to you with after I've aligned all the left, bottom, and right margins. Okay? So hang on. Okay everyone, welcome back. I have aligned most of the pictures to the right margin, which I didn't need you to necessarily follow along with that because we've done on the left and the bottom. A couple things I want to point out now that I was noticing as I was doing my work was that there were some problems with some of these images which are still present here because I have not changed them. When you change them and put your own images in, it'll fix the problem. And let me show you here if I can. If you look closely at the dream car here, let me click on this and go select that object. Okay, you'll notice if you look at the edges of the actual photo that they're not as wide as the bottom line here where the caption is. And also pretty much on all the photos that have not been changed, if we move over to see the Steve Jobs photo, you'll notice it also doesn't go out to the edge where it really needs to go. What I can show you without having to fix all of them is that I did correct the math one, and you'll notice that it goes all the way to the edge of the line, which is where it should be. Okay, same thing in a T-bone steak. I actually changed it and reinserted it, and it went clear out to the edge. And again, let me go over here to the Tahiti picture and go down a little bit. So that's the alignment within the picture and the caption. It lines up the edges. You notice that everything's looking good now in terms of those lines. Now you may not have noticed those kinds of things before, but I definitely do notice them, and it's part of being kind of a good observer for design is that you notice details like that. I'm noticing too this picture is a little bit fuzzy. So let's go back out to whole page. You can see that we've aligned the left margin with, and when we look at it from this distance at this zoom level, and again this is looking at it quite reduced, you can even see that this Panamera picture here doesn't line up with the edge, and it makes it appear as though the picture's not at the right location in terms of the left alignment. I have not changed this from the original template, but I'll do that now so you can see how it fixes it. Okay, so we're going to zoom in here and at least go page width so it's a little closer. I'm going to go down to this so you can see this now. Notice how the edge of the picture is not at the edge of the frame or matching up with the line here in the bottom. That's kind of a flaw in terms of design, so we're going to double click on this. I'm going to right click on it now and change the picture. I've already downloaded the picture that I'm going to change to, so that has to be done ahead of time, which you should have already done. Okay, so I'm going to go in here, there, get the Tesla that I like, put it in there, and go back to page view, page width, and go down so I can see it again. Okay, and you'll notice the picture now fits in a lot better in terms of the edge. There's no space there. One of the things that also happens is the cropping. It cuts it down a little bit, so I can work with that if I click on it. Where are you there, buddy? Get those. Okay, so format, and then I need to get it. Okay, let me click off. There we go. Okay, so I can crop the picture. Cropping over here, and again, this is under Picture Tools, Format, and way over here. I have to get the dark X's. I can move the picture around a little bit. See, it's not exactly the right shape, So it's going to cut off something, and you may need to adjust your picture a little bit to get it to get what you want to actually be in the picture that's displayed. So this picture is a little wider than the space that I have, but I can kind of adjust it a little bit so that I get the best part of the car, which is the front. Just hit enter or click off of it, and now the picture's not only out to the edge like it should be, but it's also adjusted. I would need to change the name here, and there we go. Okay, so the line is still fine. The caption's a little small now or short because it doesn't fill the text, so you can adjust that or just leave it. It's okay too. We're not going to be that fussy. All right, so again, we're talking about alignment. Got the left edge, the bottom. Let's go back up here to view, do the whole page, and now you can see that the right, and again, the swimming picture you'll notice doesn't line up, or doesn't look lined up because it doesn't fill the space. If I click on this, right click, and go change picture, I can get back over here, change that picture too, which you may have seen when I was scrolling through before. Put that one in, and now when I zoom in, go to view, page width, you can see that it's filling out to the edge, and if I go whole page, you can see the alignment looks much better now, all down that right side. So we're getting closer. Okay, we've got the left margin set, the bottom, everything's lined, and now we got to look internal, how the pictures are doing kind of compared to each other. You'll notice we have a big space here above the math, and then the rest of these spaces are smaller. So what we want to do is distribute that space evenly, and if necessary, make some of the pictures a little bigger or rearrange them slightly. So in this case, I can just kind of scoot this down, maybe pull this one down, and again, I want to keep it lined up on that right margin. Okay, so here I'm still not happy about all this white space. That's all the space kind of between the pictures. There's a lot on this side, and it's pretty tight on this side, so we've got a problem. So one of the things I can do is rearrange the pictures completely. So I can scoot this over for a minute, bring this guy, because this one's taller, right? This picture is kind of taller in orientation, so I can expand this a bit. And again, I held down the shift key so that I didn't distort it. Alright, and now that space is filling in better. You guys see how that's working? Okay, so now the alignment on the right, all down that right margin, I've kept. Next picture I can put over here and maybe shrink this guy down a little bit. Let's see. Hold down the shift key, maybe shrink these guys down a little. So each of your posters is going to be unique to you, and the pictures are going to be different, and so you'll have to take a look at yourself to sort this out. Now, the problem here with this, our pet llama Yolanda, which is of course a made-up thing, is that, let me go page width again so you can see it a little better. See here how the picture is actually cutting into my text of my name. Your title of your poster, which is all about you, needs to be really clear, so you don't want a picture cutting into it. So this whole thing is going to have to be shrunk down. Hold down the shift key, grab one of the corners, and shrink Yolanda down. It's not that she's any less important, it's just that I want to make it fit in the space. Okay, and here, the other thing that's happening, you can kind of see that pink line, that purple line that sort of shows up. It's telling me that the top edge of the swimming photo and Yolanda are lining up. I can do the same thing over here with my family, kind of get that lined up. So now there's an invisible line that's lining all those up. Okay, the tops. And again, I want to look at the spacing between each thing. There we go. Oops. There. Right to the edge. Okay, and I can tell it's the edge again because the dark blue line lights up versus the purple one. Okay, so this one's lined up a little wrong. There we go. Okay. Oops. Now here the problem is my T-bone steak is getting cut off by my math picture. Even though it's white, it looks invisible. It's actually a white background, so I may have to shrink it down a little bit. You guys see this? How this line is cut off here? So I have to shrink this down just a little bit. There we go. Now I have the text showing up in the full line. Okay, I've got to realign this to the right margin. Check the the bottom, and now let's take a look at the whole page. Okay, we're getting a lot closer. The top looks cleaner. Got an imaginary line going across there, and now the problem is kind of right in here. We've got our Tahiti is overlapping our name, which is the most important part. So I'm going to scoot that down. And we're getting really close now. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. And here, let me just go in closer again, page width on the view. You can see if I look here at this spacing on the left versus the right spacing, there's a little bit of a difference, so I can just kind of even that out. It's going to be a little tricky to do. Now what's happening is it's lining up in the center of the stake photo. That's what that pink line means when that does that, see? Okay, so the important thing is the outside edge though. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and do a whole page view again. And you can see that I could maybe make this a little bigger because there's a little bit of open space here that's maybe too much, white space. So I can expand that just slightly. Still maintain the left alignment, and that looks a little better. It's more consistent. It looks like here, not much we can do there except maybe scoot that down. That's a little bit tight. Okay, so everything affects everything else in terms of if you move one thing, it's probably going to affect how it looks versus something else. Okay, that's looking really good in terms of overall placement. Again, this was the poster without rotation, the square one, where everything's just straight. You may have chosen the angled photos, which is completely okay. You'll just need to adjust so everything's inside the blue margins here. It's about a ½ inch, I think, on the page. And again, that everything's spaced out appropriately between the internal objects. So left margin, bottom margin, right margin first, then go to the inside spacing, kind of get things lined up, make sure nothing is interfering with your name at the top here, the text, and also your picture, because that your main picture of you, because this isn't all about you poster. You want that to be perfectly clear, and then just kind of balance or even out the spacing between the internal objects. Okay, so this poster looks pretty good. It's good enough to submit for grading, or at least feedback, and then we'll do black and white proof of it, see if there's anything else we need to fix, and then we'll do the final color printouts. Okay, if you have any questions, as always, please let me know. And I do want to show you one more thing for those of you who have done the template with rotation. So hold on just a second. If that's you, if you used the one without rotation, then you're all set. But if you did the rotation, then hang tight for a minute and continue watching it, and I'll show you a couple tricks about that. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do that in a separate video because this one's already 23 minutes. So thanks so much for watching and listening. Hope this has been helpful. Thanks, you guys.